What's up, everyone? So we now have announced the Midnight expansion, and with that announcement, as per usual, comes the ability to pre-purchase the expansion, and with that comes a few different possible benefits, one of which is a new enhanced level 80 character boost. One of the most common things that we get asked in Group Finder's Guide is how to get the item level required to join one of the Group Finder's Guide raids. And so what I'm going to do is make a really quick video, or maybe video series, probably just a video, and I'll fast forward through a lot of stuff on how I would go about if I was a new player or returning player, or maybe I wanted to switch my main and do so using that level 80 character boost that comes with the Epic Edition of the pre-order. I'm going to show you the step-by-step way that I would gear up. It may not be the fastest way, it'll be close to the fastest way, and it will hopefully give you all a good idea of what you start with the character boost and the steps to take first. I don't really have a plan. I just want to show that, you know, every time I get this question recently in recent seasons, it seems that the answer to the question is to just play the game. So we will see how we start out. As you can tell, this is the first time I've logged into this character, and we'll just go ahead and jump right in. But the goal here is we want to make our way to be able to do a heroic learner or a normal learner within the community. So the first thing that I always have to do is go through and get my presets all set up. All right. So I have started out 645 item level. It's pretty decent to get started. Feel free to skip around or go down to the description to the chapters and timestamps. I've left in a lot of this just so it's legit. Alright, one of the first things you're going to want to always do is you want to go ahead and grab these Valorstone quests. Get that started. Because it's going to ask you to pick up Valorstones and upgrade equipment, and then it'll give you a little bit of extra. So we're going to go ahead and come over here, grab our Delve Weekly. Checking this weekly, Reshii Trust, that's some good rep if you need it. I'm not going to do it because it doesn't have anything to do with gear. Again, nothing to do with gear. Archives, this will always usually give us the archive fragment quest will almost always give you one of your sparks, which is going to be important. We're going to be doing world quests, but the Delve one is a lot easier to get that pinnacle cache out of the way, and it doesn't lock us into needing to do 6 world quests. We can pick and choose and only do world quests that are going to reward us with gear. One thing to keep in mind with the world quests is it's best to start doing those after you've gotten a few of the other more guaranteed item level pieces out of the way, so after you've done some of your delves and things like that, because up to a certain point, quests will reward you with gear based on your item level. We are able to queue into random heroics though, and random heroics will be a really useful thing for us in gearing up. And we go to dungeons. We'll just pick that's maybe a bad one. No, it'll be fine. If we go to look at loot, so it is going to give us 665 adventurer loot. So that is going to be a big increase for us. And DPS queues are very long. Probably one of the fastest ways to gear if you are comfortable tanking or healing and you have a class that can tank or heal. It may be more beneficial for you to just fire up heroics and start spamming those. But we're gonna do this as if we play DPS, because some of you may not want to heal, and it would be pretty crappy for me to be like, hey, it's easy to gear up, you just get instant queues and heroics. All right, so one of the first things that we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look. Again, 5,000 gold is what's been given to me at the start here. We're gonna go to armor, we're gonna select usable only, upgrades only, and we're gonna search. Obviously, a lot of this is gonna be well out of our price range, because a lot of this is epics, and it looks like most of it is going to be too expensive. Once we get a little bit of gold from questing and doing some various things, it can be really quick to come in here and grab just some BOEs. They can be very expensive at the start of the expansion, or at the start of the season, sorry. So it might not be good if gold is an issue for you, But if gold is not an issue and you have a little nest egg, then that may be a good thing for you to go ahead and look at is buying some gear. One thing to highlight is when you create a new character, if you have already played this season or in previous seasons, you'll see that I have all of these reputations maxed out. This character is brand new. I created it to specifically do this video series. You'll see that I've got all the Renown rewards from prior seasons, and you'll notice that it upgrades those Renown rewards to the current season. So really easy source of Valorstones and Crests to start off with, as well as coffer keys, which are really helpful because they will allow us to do delves. One thing that does not upgrade, you will notice, is it does not upgrade these crests that were received at the end of the Renown tiers. So this right here, I kind of just grab them and then delete them because I like to see less exclamation points. This guy is the Undermine vendor here, so that's pretty helpful to be able to grab these here. I'm not going to go and look at all of the different vendors off the start because we don't have any gear we can upgrade. But while I'm here, I was just going to go ahead and talk to these vendors. The other vendors will be in Ashkahet. Undermine, I believe, will be another vendor that you can go to, although I will gladly not get the crest from there because I am tired of Undermine. I do not wish to go back to that trash heap. Well, let's just check and see. So an interesting thing here, all these weathered crests, they did bypass the season maximum, which is very nice. Just wanted to highlight here that the weathered crests are really useful for gearing, but it's something we're going to cover in the 670, 680 video, just because I don't want you all wasting them here. A little bit of lag, and that is a pretty great upgrade. Now, if you find a group that is seeming like they're going to kind of stay together, then that might be something where you just want to kind of spam and go through and stick with them until they're done. But one thing to keep in mind is that you are on a fresh character going to have, you know, certain things that you need to get finished for your like weekly content. You're going to need delves that you need to do, world quests that you need to do. If you're like me and you have to do the full campaign to get your cloak, you're going to have that. You're going to have the belt, the delve belt that you have to kind of grind through and get. So all of those things together means it might be better for you to just set your role as DPS and queue through and do your other things while you are waiting. Looks like right now 3-minute queues. It's not terrible. It's enough that we can get, you know, a few quests done here and there while we're waiting on the queues to pop. If you're playing solo, something to consider is that the best and fastest way to gear up is going to be delves. And specifically, it's going to be doing higher tier delves, at least tier 8 bountifuls. And those, some classes, it can just be really difficult. A mage, for example, I could get on my mage, and my mage is 700 item level and, you know, has really decent gear. I could jump on that mage and would probably struggle more in tier 8 delves than I would struggle on, you know, a 660 item level demonology warlock, just simply because you have a pet to tank for you. Just wanted to point out, I have now finished the story. This is where you get your Reshii Wraps. You can see here on the map, if you do the skip, then this is where you'll come to get your wraps after doing the skip. Now here, I kind of glazed over it, but this is the console that you'll go to get the Delve Belt, which is going to be BIS for a lot of classes. And then here, you feel free to go to the description. It's got the timestamps for different chapters. I've just included a fast forward of me doing all of the delves. That way it's all in the up and up. And you all know that I truly did start this character from boost and went all the way to 670 legit. All right, it is morning. I did a little bit of work off stream on old Tiki Steve, getting him geared up because I was finishing that quest, and I am now at 670 item level. which is the item level required for Manaforge Omega normal learner runs. And I have done it in 2 hours and 49 minutes. So 2 hours and 49 minutes from fresh boosted. So what did I do to get to this point? So I did get a little bit lucky with some of my chest drops. So I think I did 4 heroic dungeons through the dungeon finder. I did the full quest to get my Reshii Wraps. My item level is a little bit inflated because I have been playing, so the Reshii Wraps are at 720 just because of how many threads I have, but the threads are very easy to get. You'll get those pretty quickly. I have this from one of the 2 weekly boxes that will give you a veteran piece. This is from a heroic dungeon. You can see that I do still have a good amount of the boosted gear on. Again, this is from a heroic dungeon. This is the Delve belt, which I actually have a quest to turn in right now. This is from one of the chests. This is from a delve. This is from a heroic dungeon. So that's from a heroic dungeon. And then this is from a delve. And this is from a delve. So I have done 3 delves, which is why I'm about to go turn in this quest. I've done 4 or 5 heroic dungeons. And then I worked through the campaign to get my Reshii Wraps, as well as while doing the delve. It's very important to do 1 delve, then come back, do another delve. That way you can upgrade your belt. But that's it for this part. I will not pretend that the next part is not more difficult. It definitely is, because now we are going to try to push to 680, and that takes a little bit longer. 680 is where we start with our heroic learner runs, although I will say that some of the later bosses, some of our leads are starting to require 685, and maybe even a little higher when we start to prog towards the later half of heroic. But I'll go ahead and cut there, and we will try to go from 670 to 680 and see how long that takes us.